Assalamu alaikum kids. Today we have the story Red Riding Hood, Little Red Riding Hood. Have you heard this story before? Let's start. There was once a little girl who lived with her mother and father in a cottage near a great forest. Her grandmother had given her a red cape which she liked so much that she wore it every day wherever she went. Soon everyone started calling her Red Riding Hood. "It's your grandmother's birthday today. She wants you to have tea with her," said her mother one day. Red Riding Hood was very pleased. She enjoyed going to her grandmother's house on the other side of the forest. Her mother gave her a basket packed with 6 brown eggs, a pot of honey, some cheese, and a large round fruit cake. Her father, who was a hunter, told her, "Remember to keep to the long path round the edge of the forest. If you try to take a shortcut, you might meet the fierce old wolf. It isn't safe to go there all by yourself." Waving goodbye to her parents, she set off on the long road. Gradually, the sky grew darker and it began to rain. Now Red Riding Hood had no choice but to take shelter under the trees, and while walking in the rain, she soon lost her way, and on she went, deeper into the forest. "Oh dear!" she cried, "I must have taken a wrong turning." Suddenly Red Riding Hood heard something moving in the trees nearby. She spun round, and there stood a huge wolf. He had been following her all the time. Red Riding Hood was very frightened, but the wolf bowed deeply and smiled at her. "Hello, little girl," he said. "I see that you have lost your way. Perhaps I can help you. I know the forest rather well." Astonished at his kindness, Red Riding Hood explained how she was going to her grandmother's house on the other side of the forest. "The other side of the forest?" laughed Wolf. "That's easy. Just follow this path through the trees. You will be there in no time." Thanking the wolf for his Red Riding Hood, following his directions, was soon happily on her way on Granny's cottage. "That fooled her," chuckled the wolf after her. "Now it will take her hours to reach her grandmother's house. If I take the shortest route myself, I will be there long before she arrives. There will be plenty of time to spring a little surprise." When he came to Granny's cottage, not a soul was in sight. He looked all around, then tiptoed up the garden path and opened the front door. The wolf looked in every room but could not find the old lady. "It does not matter," he said to himself. "She must have forgotten about Red Riding Hood and gone out for a walk." At last Red Riding Hood came to her granny's cottage. She knocked at the door. "Come in, child," said a weak voice from inside the house. "I have been expecting you." To her surprise, she found the room in darkness and her grandmother sitting up in bed. Little did she know that it was really the wolf in disguise. "Oh dear, I must have overslept. Come closer and let me see you," said her grandmother. "Why, Granny, what big eyes you have got," said Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you, dear. And what big ears you have got," Red Riding Hood said nervously. Now she was sure that it was not Granny at all. "All the better to hear you, my dear," smiled grandmother. "And such enormous teeth," gasped Red Riding Hood, stepping back. "All the better to eat you." At this, the wolf sprang out of bed. "I know I'm going to enjoy my dinner," he snarled. "Help!" shrieked the poor little girl. "Oh, somebody please help!" All of a sudden the door flew open, and there stood her father with his crossbow. He took a careful aim and killed the wolf with a single shot. "It's all right," he said to Red Riding Hood. "But what about poor Granny?" she sobbed. "Don't you worry about her. She is far too clever to be taken in by a sly wolf," laughed her father. Sure enough, outside in the garden stood her grandmother, safe and sound. "I'm so pleased to see you. I was picking flowers to put on the table when I saw the wolf go into the house. Then I ran to the village to fetch help. I met your father on the edge of the forest, and we hurried back to find you." Her father came out of the house holding Red Riding Hood's basket. "Let's fetch your mother and have our picnic in the woods," she said. And so Red Riding Hood had a party with her father and grandmother after all. She also promised to obey her elders in future and not to talk to strangers. Thank you, kids. Allah Hafiz.